I'm here at the laundromat, I think, for the last time. We've got a new washer and dryer coming. I want to tell you what happened here a couple of weeks ago. It was 6 o'clock in the morning when the time changed, and I came to the laundromat to get our laundry done that way and get home. And as I was in there by myself, this lady walked in, and she was over by the automatic teller machine over here and trying to get some money out of it. And a few minutes later, this big old guy comes in. I mean, this guy was huge. He had to be, I'm 6'2". He had to be 6'4", 6'5". And he came in, and I didn't know who he was. I thought, man, what's going on here? And all of a sudden he said, now, Mom, you can use your debit card to run the washer and the dryer. And he turned around and walked out. And she turned and looked at me, and I looked at her, and she says, that's my son. I said, oh. That's all I said. And all of a sudden she says, he doesn't like to do his laundry. He's 42 years old and he can't take care of himself. I said, oh. And then she started telling me her life story, that she went through a painful divorce in their years when he was a child, and she had 2 other kids, and they ended up in foster care, and she just had a really rough time, and I'm not going to give you all the details she told me. And she looked at me and she says, is there any hope? And I said, yeah, there's always hope. And I said, have you gotten him any help? Is he getting any help? And she says, well, I would like to see if I could do it, afford it. And I said, do you work? And she said, oh yeah, I work. She says, I work. I'm 62 years old and I work. And I said, you go to church? And she said, oh yeah, I go to a place called Free Chapel. And I said, well, Free Chapel, that's one of the biggest churches in Georgia, up in Gainesville. And Jensen Franklin. I thought, man, I said, well, they do have counseling there, and you don't even have to be a member of the church. They have counseling. I said, maybe you can get some help there. She said, do you really think it would help? And I said, well, it can't hurt. I said, you could probably use some counseling yourself to help deal with what you're dealing with. But remember, there's always hope. And you could just see the frustration and the look on her face of that she needed to hear that. And then I told her my story. My quick story is this, that I have been in therapy myself for the last year and a half on some issues that I've dealt with from my past as a child that I didn't even know I was carrying with me. And I went to get help because it was definitely becoming a problem. And I was diagnosed myself with PTSD, trauma from my childhood. And she says, really? I said, oh yeah. I said, I've learned a lot of things. I got some tools to work with. And I said, the best part is, I said, I've gotten better. And I said, so yeah, there is hope. And I said, you know what? I've got a phone number that you can call of somebody that I know that's helped with one of my granddaughters. And so I gave her the phone and everything like that. Papa Walt, why are you telling us this? Because you cannot give what you do not have. If you have not been through what someone has crossed your path that's going through, you cannot give them any advice. If you come to me as an alcoholic or a drug addict, I can't help you. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at it. I'm telling you the truth. I can't help you. But if you come to me because, for instance, you've been through a business failure, you've lost your business, you filed bankruptcy, I can help you. You've been through broken relationships with your children, I can help you. You've been through a divorce, I can help you. But if you haven't been through something that somebody is going through, you can't help them. You cannot give what you do not have. So don't even attempt to it. Now, what you may do is just listen, which sometimes that's all we really need to do is just listen. Give somebody an ear. You can tell them at the laundromat, can't you? Yeah, that was my machine. You know what? Satan just using that to interrupt my message. But, I want to keep talking. So anyway, after that, I was getting my clothes ready, getting ready to walk out the door. And just getting ready, walk out the door. Well, there was this car parked out front. I've never seen a car like it, and I just want to know what it was. So, as I was getting ready to go out, the lady that owned it was walking past me, and I said, "Ma'am," I said, "do you mind if I ask what kind of car that is?" She said, "Oh yeah, it's a such and such, such and such, you know." And I'd never heard of the name of it. And she told me, she said, it's a branch off a Ferrari. I said, "Oh really?" And she said, "Yeah." And then she says this. She says, "It's my soon-to-be ex-husband's car." And I just stood there, my mouth just went, "Okay." And then she proceeded to tell me what she had been going through. She's going through a divorce, very painful divorce. She had just that past week had depositions and stuff with her lawyer and all this thing. And I mean, understand, I came in here at 6 o'clock in the morning to just simply do my clothes and go home early. And the Lord does what he wants to do when he wants to do it. And so I was able to talk to that lady about divorce. That I told her, I said, "You know, now there's life after divorce." "Well, how do you know that?" I said, "Because I've been through it. I've been through it." And so I basically listened to her and found out, again, she's a Christian. And so we talked a little bit about God and how God has been protecting her and watching over her, and he's with her because she was married 33 years, and now this is a total change in her life after 33 years and kids, and now she's all alone. Now she's scared to death. So I assured her the best that I could and led her to Psalm 91 and just kind of helped her a little bit as I could. But my whole point of this whole thing is you cannot give what you do not have. So what has God given you? What have you been through? I call it the fires of sorrow. What fire have you been through? You know, Peter said, "Don't think it's strange, the fiery trial that awaits you." God's going to put us all through the fire. And he doesn't put us through the fire to harm us. He puts us through the fire to purify us, to get the things out of us that don't need to be in there, and to then strengthen us, to temper us, to be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. And then what he will do when you go through the fires of sorrow, God will cross your path just like he crossed my path with these two ladies at the laundromat, and you will be nourishment for someone else. Nourishment for someone else who's going through what you've been through, that you can take just a moment, listen, and if you got something to give it to them.
of sorrow.
I'm refined like silver and gold.
I'm stronger now.
Been tempered by fire.